The summer of 2004 is already very far away now. I still remember that year the Yellow River flooded and the rolling yellow water filled the river south of the village. My younger brother, and an elder in the village set up a fishing net in the river and caught two large buckets of fish. Then my grandfather passed away. I will never see such a kind smile again. Only then did I realize the sorrow of frost and dew. My name is Ma Fong, and my home is in a small village in southwestern Shandong. That summer, I was 17 years old. A few days after the high school entrance examination, I was restless at home. In previous summer vacations, I would go to the fields with my mother to do farm work while tending sheep and occasionally stay with relatives for a few days. This summer vacation, I have been planning to work outside. I feel that I am not young anymore. I should go and see what the high-rise buildings and colorful neon lights are like outside. But my parents still had fun with me when I was young and insisted that I stay at home. They would rather buy me a new foreign car and let me ride around than let me go out. Later, during the summer vacation one year, I went out to work in a stadium under construction and watched a person next to me being hit on the head with a big hook falling from his head. His head was broken and bloody, and he was unconscious. I realized that I was indeed too young at that time. But the heart is really big. I was like an arrogant beast, but I was locked up in a small cage by my parents. I spent every day spinning around in the cage, drooling and looking at the blue sky and white clouds outside. By the way, there are blue sky, white clouds, and little tabby cats. Things finally turned around. My uncle came. My family has an uncle and an uncle. The uncle is the eldest son of my second grandfather's family. He is the pride of our family. He was admitted to the medical college in his early years and now works in the county hospital. With my uncle as a role model, my eldest nephew has had high hopes for my family since he was a child, especially since I participated in competitions for 5 years in elementary school and was among the best in my junior high school class. My family, and even some people in the village, were sure that I would definitely be admitted to the county number 1 middle school, and sooner or later, I would become a college student. College students are still a rare thing in our village. My uncle led a middle-aged man about his age into the house. My parents were a little surprised, but they politely invited the man into the main room for tea and cigarettes. Of course, I am here to make tea. There is no good tea at home, so making boiling water until it changes color is the way to treat guests. While I was making tea, I listened to my parents and my uncle chatting with the middle-aged man. After a few minutes, my uncle turned the topic to me. Xiao Fong, how did you do in the high school entrance examination? It's not bad. It will take a while for the test results to come out. It's rare to see pride in my family, so I answered a bit weakly. Oh, you are 17 this year, right? You're a little thin. My uncle suddenly said this, and then turned to my parents and started talking about business. This boss Ning is engaged in Chinese medicinal materials. He has taken a fancy to our little recipe and offered us 8,000 yuan to go dig herbs in the mountains. It's hot, and the fields are not alive anymore, right? Maybe it's because he works and lives in the county town, but my uncle is a little less approachable when he opens his mouth. It seems that he brought people to discuss business with our family out of good intentions. Maybe our family is too careless. My parents were a little confused when they heard this. Their first reaction was, 8,000 yuan is so much. What do you want our son to do? I was a little dizzy at the time. 8,000 yuan was worth it. My father went out to work year after year and didn't seem to bring much money to the family. If I could earn 8,000 yuan, would I be a man in the family? Money is one thing, but mainly I want to go out. I tried my best to agree. Getting Chinese medicinal materials? Then why do you ask Xiaofeng to do it? Xiaofeng's test results haven't come out yet. Won't he have to apply for #1 middle school a few days later? The father asked hesitantly, as soon as the results come out, I'll just do it for him. My uncle has a friend in #1 middle school, and this matter is not a big deal to him. What makes him a little unhappy is that he brought Bosning here this time because he really wanted me to make some money to support the family. He is old enough, so what are you doing at home? Why don't you go out to make some money with me? I'll cover 1 year's tuition and living expenses. At this time, Bosning also added, I don't ask the child to do anything. I just ask him to go to the mountains with me to collect herbs. It's almost the same as working in the fields, but he will suffer a little and not be tired. I just wanted to go out and didn't think about anything else. My parents quietly looked at Bosning. He looked like a small businessman here in his clothing and behavior. He was also kind. However, it was puzzling that he came and offered such a high price this time. Even though his eldest brother was the guarantor, they were still a little worried. However, my parents were still a little relaxed, so my uncle and Bosning continued to chat with my parents. While we were chatting, Bosning glanced at me and smiled at me. That smile of his. Later, I found out that Uncle Ning had been targeting me when I was less than 1 year old. It just so happens that I got seriously ill a few months after I was born. My parents took me to the county hospital to see a doctor. Uncle Ning also took his daughter to the county hospital and saw me. I was very ill at that time, and the doctor wanted to give me an injection, but he couldn't find the blood vessels in my body. Several doctors came and couldn't do it. A group of doctors were extremely anxious, and my parents were even more anxious. I was about to die. Later, an old doctor from the county hospital came over and gave me an injection to save my life. Resurrection from the dead. Uncle Ning, who was watching from the sidelines, thought this was quite unusual, so he took out 3 copper coins from his pocket and gave me a divination. The divination should be thunder and water will dissolve. A gentleman forgives his sins. I have never understood the matter of the 64th hexagram of the Book of Changes. According to Uncle Ning's translation, this child's destiny is too hard, and his hardness is a bit evil. There is another thing that corresponds to his hexagram. That was when I was 4 or 5 years old, and my mother was riding a foreign cart to carry me to my grandma's house to visit relatives. When we reached the bridge at the west end of our village, I went crazy without knowing it and suddenly started making a fuss, making a lot of noise and kicking on the small seat on the frame of the cart. When my mother got anxious, the man and the cart overturned into the river. At that time, the river was very deep and flowing eastward. My mother fell from the bridge into the river. Before she could get up, she went to the front of the car and touched me. When she touched me, she was gone, and the small stool tied to the beam of the car was gone. My mother was frightened and hurriedly groped eastward along the car. After groping for a while, she finally touched me. After she fished me out of the river, she quickly treated me. Then I said the most humorous sentence in my life. Where there is water, there are fish. Where there is water, there are fish. Where there is water, there are fish. Survived the catastrophe. Boss Ning saw the resurrection from the dead with his own eyes at the county hospital. He also heard from my uncle about the matter of surviving the catastrophe. He also asked about some feudal superstitions in the village. Therefore, the look in his eyes when he looked at me and smiled at me was very complicated. I am not a little cat with blue sky and white clouds, so I just thought that Boss Ning could take me out to see the world. Not only did I laugh with him, but I also felt a little shy. Big loss. After chatting for a long time, the matter was settled. Today I will tidy up at home, and tomorrow I will go to my uncle's house in the city to meet up with Boss Ning. I will work with him for 2 months and be paid 8,000 yuan. My uncle and Boss Ning didn't have dinner at home, so they were in a hurry to go back to the city. My parents have doted on me since I was a child, and they are very reluctant to let me go, but they also know that when the child gets older, you have to let go when it is time. Of course, I was filled with joy. I went to pack my things after lunch. In the middle of packing, I remembered that I had contacted several classmates and my third child about going out to work. Although the matter was not discussed, I was going to go out to work alone. I had to say hello to my brothers, and I had to be kind. Especially the third child, I'd better take him with me. According to the advertisement, he is my Yulamai. After putting down my things, I went to find the third child. The third child is a friend of mine from the same village. I have been playing with him since he was a child. This child has several characteristics that often make me confused, and incomprehensible. First, he doesn't like going to school. He would rather be beaten with a stick thicker than his thumb by his father, who practiced martial arts rather than go to school. It seems that going to school is an extremely painful thing for him, much more painful than a bruised nose and a few bloody marks on his body. Secondly, he often brags about his martial arts, but always fails at the moment of performance, such as falling into a puddle while performing light martial arts, falling into a pit while performing a reed crossing a river, rolling down a mountain while performing a tiger, etc. I can do it. Third, he stopped watching cartoons after he was 10 years old. He secretly went to town to buy some DVDs and secretly watched them on his VCD at home. He was particularly used to those movies that screamed, except for horror movies. This grandson still dares not even watch Zombie Uncles. Fourth, after he entered junior high school, he was finally able to accept some academic studies. He claimed to love Chinese the most and even fell in love with literature when he was in the third year of junior high school. However, his Chinese score was always less than 20 points, which was a shame in the school's Chinese circle. But he loved it so much that others were speechless. This is the third child, Zhu Jianfeng, a person who has countless weird examples in his body. My friend, Lao San, standing outside the wall and shouting is a common rule for children in our village when they play together. Every time I call Lao San like this, I always feel very happy. I don't know why. What are you doing? After a pause, the third child agreed. Come out. I have something to tell you. After hearing this, I knew that there was no one at home, and he must be doing something that makes him feel guilty. I knew it. Will you come in? The third child wanted to continue. Come out, I insisted. After a while, the third child came out reluctantly, with an expression on his face that looked like King Zhou Wu and Zheng. For those who didn't know, they thought he was at home worrying about the country and the people. I told the third child about going out to collect medicine with Boss Ning. The third child thought about it and was not willing to go. He has graduated from junior high school now and has to prepare for a long-term job. Summer work is just a trivial matter for others. I had to persuade him with good words, and after a long time of persuasion, the third child finally agreed for the sake of money. When I got back, I asked my parents to call my uncle and ask Boss Ning if he could agree to one more person. After hearing the situation of the third child, Boss Ning readily agreed. The price is the same as mine. The next day, on the way to the city with Lao San, I thought, how can I, a good man like Ma Fong, pay the same price as a rough guy like Zhu Lao San? No, no, no. I have to secretly discuss with Boss Ning and ask him to increase the price for me. I must increase the price. I must not associate with this fat guy. Chapter 2, Asking for Money. The fastest update to the latest chapter of the 100 Ghosts reality show. The car drove to the bridge in the town. Before it stopped, the third child jumped off in a hurry. It was also his first time to go out, so he was a little excited. It was my father who came to see us off, using a tricycle used to kill pigs in the village. Our family originally found a job for Zhu Laosan, so his father should have contributed to seeing us off. But my father borrowed the car yesterday and insisted on seeing us off. Borrowing the car, seeing us off, and being taciturn along the way, I was so high-spirited that I didn't even care, and even looked down on my father, so I jumped out of the car in my elegant posture. Father parked the car and came down to accompany us at the bridge to wait for the bus to the city. The third child and I were swaying on the bridge talking about this and that while my father was waiting. After waiting for a while, he went to the street and bought us a bag of apples. Just at this time, the bus came. I hurriedly went to get my bag from the carriage. My bag contained some clothes, a martial arts book that I could no longer find, and a short knife for cutting meat at home. The folk customs in our small place have always been tough, and young and dangerous were popular at that time. From primary schools in the village to junior high schools in the town, the most popular recess activities were singles and group fights. There is nothing we can do about it. In remote areas, football and volleyball are just things illustrated in textbooks, but this does not mean that we don't like formal sports activities. I still remember that in the 4th grade of elementary school, we used paper balls and transparent glue to paste a football. All the children in the school came to play and played it every day. I still feel that the goal made of 2 trees and 2 pieces of clothing is very beautiful. In junior high school, our campus finally had a basketball court paved with red bricks and 2 wooden backboards, but there was no basketball. We waited until we took the college entrance examination in the 3rd year of junior high, and there were special sports enrollment, and the physical education teacher got a basketball from nowhere. Even though the red brick paved ground was uneven, the wooden backboards were rotten, and there were weeds growing in some places, we still played happily for half a game. When we were in junior high school, we didn't know what actions were considered foul when playing basketball. Throwing the ball in was a victory. It wasn't until we went to high school in the county that we gradually learned that there is a net under the basket and the backboard can be made of tempered glass. You can't score if you run with the ball and then shoot a few times. You can't hit the whole court with more than 20 people. Just like what Magistrate Jiang said in the gate of the mansion, I am poor but have ambition, and we are poor but happy. I'm going too far now. Actually, what I'm trying to say is that in 2004, it was very easy for boys of 17 or 18 to carry a knife in their bag when they went out to show off their masculinity. Isn't that right? The third guy went even further and brought the machete he bought at the hardware store next to the barber shop in the town. The barber shop is mentioned here because it was owned by a boss in our school. The third child went to stop the car, and I was responsible for taking the bag. Although I had noticed that the contents of the third child's bag were unusual, I stretched out my hand and tugged on his bag, but he didn't even lift his bag, and it almost caused me to fall into the car. My first reaction was, what did the third child do again? What are you doing? You can't even lift a bag? It's no use. The third child muttered and came over. He stretched out his hand and put his bag on his shoulder easily. This kid has definitely practiced. The bus stopped and the door opened. The third child and I hurriedly got into the car. My father hurried over and handed me the bag of apples. I saw that the bag was very rustic and the apples in it were not very good, so I didn't want to take them. But my father insisted on handing me the bag of apples. I didn't want to argue anymore, so I took them. After the car drove away, I noticed that my father stood on the bridge for a long time, a long time. Half an hour later, the bus stopped at the entrance of the county hospital. The third child and I got off the bus and went to the hospital to find my uncle. My uncle worked in the laboratory department, and it was not yet time to get off work. So he asked us to go home. After discussing it with the third child, we wandered around the streets in the city until my uncle got off work. My uncle got off work at around 12 noon and took us directly to a restaurant. Boss Ning is already waiting there. After a simple meal, my uncle was in a hurry to leave. Before leaving, he asked, "Do you two want money?" No, no, yes, yes. This is obviously polite, and Lao San and I have learned it a long time ago. Okay, I'm leaving. You two follow Boss Ning and work hard. If you need anything, call me. My uncle left in a hurry. We and Boss Ning were the only ones left. Boss Ning didn't do a Sichuan opera show and kidnap us to work in the black coal mines. Instead, he became a little silent. Apart from necessary exchanges with the driver on the way, he didn't say a word. In the morning, Lao San and I rushed from Dayside Town, Guani Village, 20 miles north of the city, to Tuer County. In the afternoon, we followed Boss Ning from Tuer County to Luai's Lake, 30 miles south of the city. Since we didn't stop after lunch, we entered Boss Ning's house just after 2 o'clock. It was a single-family farmhouse on the edge of Luai's Lake, which looked a little shabby. As soon as I came here, I felt strange. There is a village near Luai's Lake, and residents have moved to the newly built reservoir. Why did Boss Ning choose to live in such a remote place, without a shop in the back of the village? Is it possible? The third guy also had a very sneaky eye. After walking a few steps into the courtyard gate, he quietly asked me, "Does this Boss Ning have a reputation in the city?" No, I haven't heard my uncle mention this. I was very confused. Why did the third child suddenly ask this? Then he has a reputation in other places? Lao San asked next. No, my uncle just said that he was selling medicinal materials, and he didn't mention. I became even more confused. The third child rolled his eyes and came up with an idea. How about what you did? Look at their family situation. Does it look like they have a rich owner? Listen to me later. Let's try asking him for some money first. If he doesn't give it to us, we won't go. After Lao San reminded me, I realized that I was too naive. I just believed whatever others said. I didn't know how to doubt and refuse. Yes, I asked him for money. You two come inside. Boss Ning shouted when he saw the two of us standing in the courtyard. The third child and I looked at each other, and we decided to ask Boss Ning for money first. After walking a few steps forward, I couldn't help but feel happy. The third child and I were indeed brothers who grew up playing together. As soon as we started on the road, I was worried about the price increase. Now that we had just entered the door, the third child was thinking about asking for money again. Compared with Boss Ning, the two of us are definitely two stupid half-grown children, but our stupidity is also inherited. This is called being stupid from the inside. As soon as we entered the main room, the eyes of the third child and I lit up at the same time. A girl who was about the same grade as us walked out from the side room. She was very beautiful and cute. Why didn't Boss Ning mention her? If we had mentioned it earlier, the third child, and I probably wouldn't have thought so much. This is my daughter. Boss Ning is also a person who is not good at talking. He only said these few words and then looked at both of us, meaning that you are about the same age, so just get to know each other. We smiled at the girl, a little embarrassed. You two should take a break first and drink some water. Boss Ning said a simple greeting and went out. Her daughter also returned to the penthouse. The third child and I sat in the main room for a while, then ran to the courtyard to discuss it. What I mean is, since my daughter is here, it means that Boss Ning can't lie. When the family talked about it before, they didn't mention asking for money first, so let's not ask for it. The third child glared directly. What's the use of his daughter here? She's not your wife or my wife. Even if she might be in the future, she still has to deal with the situation one by one. She should settle the money with her future father-in-law first. I was defeated, a little impressed, and suddenly thought of the question, hey, what are you stuffing in that hard bag? It's so heavy. Some history books, Lao San said proudly. I almost fell into the car when I was carrying his bag. Now I was almost stunned by the answer of the third child. He, a man who scored less than 20 points in the Chinese language test, dared to go out with some history books. No matter what, I was still defeated. For a moment or two, I even felt a little inferior in front of third brother. As a person who went out with only a martial arts book mixed with plots not suitable for children, how could I compare with third brother? How could I compare with third brother? Third brother. Fortunately, I knew his background. I was just dumbfounded when Boss Ning came in through the gate, carrying 2 plastic bags with some dirt in his hands. They should contain some iron objects. They looked very heavy. I hurried up to help, but Boss Ning said no and cautiously walked around me and entered the house. Then his daughter came out to greet us. We were about the same age and went to school and lived in similar environments, so we quickly chatted together. Her name is Ning Hongyan. She is 17 years old, a few months older than me and 1 year younger than my third brother. She has just finished her high school entrance examination. Her hometown is out of town. She came here with her father when she was very young and grew up here. Once we got to know Ning Hongyan, the third child and I relaxed a lot at Boss Ning's house, and gradually we were able to talk to both father and daughter. In the evening, when Boss Ning took us into the West Room and let us rest there, the third child suddenly said, Boss, we didn't bring any money with us when we came out. Can you pay us some first and just deduct it from our wages? Boss Ning was startled and immediately understood what the third child meant. He pondered for a moment and said, well, there is something. I didn't tell your family before. Now I have to ask you what you mean. It is dangerous for me to take you into the mountains. Do you still dare to go? As for the money, the 8,000 yuan is just a foundation. The money we earned from going into the mountains this time will be divided into 4 parts, 1 for each of us. The third child and I both heard that Boss Ning's tone was a bit strange. It wasn't about sharing the money, but about going into the mountains. This is the 21st century. What else can there be in the mountains? Chapter 3 there is a ghost. The fastest update to the latest chapter of the 100 Ghosts reality show. Our family, including my uncle who works in the county hospital, are all honest and down-to-earth people. Of course, it is also about dealing with people and things. Occasionally, I will be a little clever, but I will never harm anyone. It was because of Boss Ning's sincerity that my uncle and parents agreed to him. But at this moment, he suddenly came up with the idea of going into the mountains to share money, which I couldn't accept. My expression changed, and I started to be hostile to Boss Ning. This man looked quite honest. Why did he didn't make it clear before. He must have something